Hi friends, today we're painting a yummy croissant in watercolor. At the beginning, we determine the placement of our croissant on the sheet. I mark out a square with light, thin lines. The diagonal helps me find the center and place half a circle, a crescent, along this diagonal. We need to draw a bun, or more precisely, a voluminous croissant in the shape of a crescent with softly rounded edges. Now we draw the lines. And add the second half of our croissant. In my vision, the croissant is cut in half so we can add a favorite filling inside. On the lower half, we draw a small thickening. Next, we soften the corners of all the pastry layers. Erase the unnecessary guiding lines, keeping only what's needed. Then, I outline where the arugula leaves will go. They are thin and curved, so I place them as if I casually laid them while assembling this croissant sandwich. After that, I add the main filling, pieces of fish. This is very simple. They take up the remaining space on the lower bun. The sketch is ready, and now we can move on to painting. The first color you'll need is ochre or burnt sienna. Dilute it with water on the palette and apply it over the whole croissant surface. This color is the base. Next, I mix scarlet and cadmium yellow with water to create a light orange wash for the first layer of the fish slices. Almost transparent. On the first dried layer of the croissant, add a second layer along the folds of the croissant. As well as brightening the bottom crust. Once that layer is dry, I add another layer of paint in a more saturated tone, with less water, using small brush strokes across the whole croissant. This process feels like meditation, probably comparable to making real croissant dough, slowly kneading all the ingredients to reach the perfect result. Now I take a brighter color, burnt sienna, and once again add small strokes to create the golden baked crust of the croissant. I leave a few unpainted light areas to give the drawing more volume. When watercolor dries, it often becomes lighter, so I keep adding bright layers one after another. Just like a real croissant, the illustration turns out layered. At the final stage of painting the croissant's top part, I outline the edge with a saturated burnt sienna. Notice how, thanks to several layers of paint, the croissant has become voluminous and more realistic. Don't be afraid to use darker colors. Now I mix scarlet and cadmium yellow with a little water, making a brighter color than the first layer. With this, I paint stripes on the fish slices, leaving small gaps between them. On the 3 slices, I make the stripes go in different directions so they look like separate pieces rather than a single block. Next, I mix green with a touch of raw sienna so the green isn't too bright. I cover the arugula leaves in one even wash. For the last layer, I use burnt sienna mixed with black. I also add shadows under the leaves and along the bottom of the croissant. I mix black with water to get a light gray. With this gray, I add shadows on the fish slices under the croissant. With an even more saturated color, I add thickness to the fish slices and a bit along the edges. On the dried first layer, I use a more vivid green to add shadows under the fish. For the final touches, I take a darker mix with black and add small strokes and lines across all the elements of the drawing. A bit on the leaves, a few shadows. And it's done. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to your feedback. How did yours turn out? Share in the comments.